Good morning, everybody. My name is Ronald White, and I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the Sunday morning, never too early Big Book Workshop on Zoom. For those who care to, please join me in a moment of silence to remind us why we're here, and for the alcoholic or addict who still suffers. Would you please join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. This is the foreword as it appeared in the first printing of the first edition of the Big Book in 1939. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all. Now, it is the purpose of this workshop to experience the recovery process as outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, either for the first time or again, so we may better carry out and understand our primary purpose, to stay sober and carry the message to the still suffering alcoholic or addict. Now, we do this as the Big Book suggests, as a group, in a 1.5-hour meeting, which includes a 15-minute group conscience. We have a different reader each week whose responsibility is to keep us on track with what is being read. The reader will pause at each paragraph for comments, questions, prompts, and experiences with what was written. Now, we're here to talk about recovery only and to go through the 12-step processes outlined in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, this is not an emotional or an intellectual exercise. This is a spiritual exercise so that we all can recover and experience that recovery process as we read it together. Crosstalk is allowed in a loving and supportive manner. Please try to relate your experiences only with your questions or your comments. Could you please repeat after me? Please, God, let us put aside everything we think we know about ourselves, our disease, this process, and you, God, for an open mind and a new experience. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ralph White. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the Sunday morning, never too early Big Book Workshop. If you are here with us for the first time, we welcome you. We hope that you decide to take this journey with us. If you're celebrating a birthday, yearly milestones only, put your name and the number of years you're celebrating in the chat, and we'll be glad to celebrate your birthday with you. Birthdays are taking place either today or in the last couple of weeks. If your birthday is tomorrow, we'll celebrate it with you next week. We are on the page. We are in the chapter, The Doctor's Opinion. We are on Roman numeral XXX. That's page 30 for those of you familiar with Roman numerals. The bottom of the page, all these and many others have one symptom in common. Reader?
Good morning, never too early. Coach Michael, definitely an alcoholic. All these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenon of craving. This phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy, which differentiates these people and sets them apart as a distinct entity. It has never been, by any treatment which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. The only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence.
Good morning again, Ronald White, alcoholic. So quick recap. Last week, in reading the doctor's opinion, we read about Dr. Silkworth talking about how if the doctors were faced with alcoholics who are asking for help, if they're honest with themselves, even though there have been some successes made through psychiatry, that if they were to be honest with themselves, they had made really little impression on the problem as a whole. And the doctor said that he doesn't believe that alcoholic is just a matter of mental control, that that's the only problem, that he knew of many people who didn't drink to escape, that they were drinking to try to overcome a craving beyond their control, that they didn't have problems once they started drinking, but once they got started, they seemed to still not be able to stop. And he talked about there being many situations that people made a supreme sacrifice. We heard a lot of people last week give examples of those sacrifices. We left off with the doctor started talking about different classifications. And remember, this is the doctor giving us these classifications, different classifications of alcoholics, of their behavior patterns, of their psychosis. They talked about people who were psychotic, talked about people who were over remorseful, talked about people who wouldn't accept that they were alcoholics, and then left off with a category of people who seem to have no psychological problems at all. In all the areas of their life, they were cool, but in this drinking thing, they seemed to be strangely insane. And they said, all these types have one thing in common, is where we start off with this week. That in spite of all these different behavior patterns, that if you're an alcoholic, the one thing all these alcoholics had in common is that when they start drinking, the allergy occurs, that the phenomenon of craving takes place. So it doesn't matter about whether or not you're depressed, you suffer from depression, you suffer from schizophrenia, whatever a psychological makeup might be, and you might not have any psychological problems at all. If you're an alcoholic, this is one thing that sets you apart from non-alcoholics, makes us a distinct entity that nobody else has this. And in fact, the doctor says, we doctors have never found any form of treatment that will get rid of this allergy. The only thing that you can do if you have it is to not use it all. He calls it complete abstinence, that you can't do it at all.
Reggie
White, alcoholic, and this to me was this paragraph more than any other paragraph in the doctor's opinion jumped out at me. Because all the earlier stuff, when he talked about crossing that invisible line, right? And once I crossed that invisible line, that's when I become an alcoholic, and then that's when the allergy kicks in. If I put, I accept all that. If I put one of anything in my body, it triggers the phenomena of craving. So now I accept that. And it was a relief to accept that because I couldn't understand why I would sit there in a bar. I thought it was like the 10th drink or the 6th drink or some drink where if I could only figure out which one to stop at, but they told me it's the first one. And I realized that, and they described my behavior. And I'm like, okay, they figured out what's wrong with me. It's not that I'm weak. It's not that I don't have any willpower. I actually have an illness. And then in this paragraph where it seemed like he's talking more to doctors than in any other point, he talked directly to me. And the thing that jumped out at me in this, he said, I buy the fact that I'm an alcoholic because I have an allergy. But then he said, the only relief is total abstinence. And I'm like, what the hell? That's the part where he got. That's the part where I get scared, because I never, the thought, when I got to this part of the book, the thought of total abstinence was like something to me that was just foreign. I was waiting for you guys to come up with some other solution. And I'm thinking, if I could just say no, like Nancy Reagan said, I wouldn't need this stuff. So I'm looking to see if there's something else coming for me.
Johnny?
Johnny Olson, Grateful Addict. Reggie, thanks for that Gen X boomer reference with Nancy Reagan. This is, as we like to say at the workshop, step 0, where none of the steps say don't take the first one. So this sort of precedes the first step. The problem that I had is that I've always had the worst bartenders and the worst dope dealers, because I always wind up getting overserved. I don't know what they don't know me better. And one of the worst pieces of advice that I know anyone's ever told me is just don't take the first one. If you're anything like I am, I mean that's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. So that's it. Thanks.
Ronald?
Ronald, alcoholic addict. Actually, when I was brand new and I first got here, when I got to this part of the book, I was relieved, because now I know they wasn't talking about me. My experience with alcohol, man, I could drink. I didn't see the phenomenon of craving because I couldn't drink that much. I'd drink a couple of cans of beer, I'd get drunk, I might fight, I might go crazy. But I fall out, I go to bed, I wake up with my money, I wake up with my job, I might have a black eye or a hurt hand or something like that. So I didn't see this part of this allergy that they talking about in me. No, not this part. Alcohol was not that bad as far as I was concerned. What I had a problem with, when I hit the pipe, I had the same behavior. I had this allergy when I hit the pipe. I had this phenomenon of craving when I hit the pipe. So as long as they talking about alcohol, I didn't care. I needed to hear the story about what happens when you hit the pipe. And this book talks about the alcohol. But as I investigated further, I found out something different. What I found out was the behavior that comes behind taking a drink, and the behavior that I compared to taking a hit. Then I could see it. But from the very beginning, being new here, I didn't understand this allergy about alcohol, because alcohol didn't do that to me. But I had to have some experience, and what I found out is when I do take a drink, I crave crack. Now that makes sense. I crave crack. I don't crave more liquor. I don't have the phenomenon of craving for more liquor. I have a phenomenon of craving for more crack when I take a drink. That's what makes me an alcoholic. Thank you.
Maureen?
Hi, Maureen, alcoholic. I didn't even know I had my hand up. I didn't drink alcoholically until I retired. So I drank like a normal person up until that point. And man, when that phenomenon of craving hit me after I was 63 years old, and all of a sudden I was gone within 2 years. And I just couldn't stop. There's no way. I had to run out or pass out. There was no way that I would stop. And thank goodness that AA, even though I was a high bottom drunk, lifted up the bottom to smack me with, so I knew I could find a place to stop drinking. And thanks for letting me share.
Christina? Christina, can you unmute?
Weird.
trying, but why don't we circle back?
Christina, we'll come back to you. Lavelle?
Morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are in this wonderful universe. I am in Gardena, California. Yes, I get to see some of my never too early people. One of the things I love right here, and I love about this particular meeting, Never Too Early, it says all these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start whatever the unwanted behavior, right? Just wipe away all that trying to attack something without developing a phenomenon of craving. But here's the thing. It has, I don't have to think I'm different from you. I don't have to separate myself from what you do, or I drank like this, or I did like this. Like, I don't have to come up with all these complications of why it was. It tells me that I am exactly like everybody that's sitting on this meeting once I take anything. But it doesn't give me a whole bunch of different kind of treatment. It says the only treatment which we are familiar with, not the many treatments or some of the treatments, the only treatment permanently eradicated, the only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. So that means I can't take a little bit. I can't be on no kind of maintenance program. I just need to stop. So thank you.
Linda?
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Linda, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. Wow, this is really intriguing to me. I mean, when I first came in, before I came in, I didn't believe I was alcoholic. I just drank because of that, because of this, because of that, you know. And when I heard about it being an allergy, I said, how can it be an allergy? It's liquor. You know, then I began to think. Of course, my thinking is what got me here. You know, I began to think, and then I understood as I kept reading, and my sponsor kept explaining to me, you know, it creates this allergy. And I said, okay, you ingest it. I'm crazy, but wasn't thinking about ingesting. And then I become full-fledged from reality, you know, and I tried it again. I said, well, maybe I'll drink one. And the next thing you know, it was another one. And I didn't know it was the first one. I couldn't understand the first one either. How could it be the first one? So I decided I would try the first one. And then it still kept leading to more and more and more. Then I would come to, and I'd be in a blackout. Couldn't remember what happened the night before or half of the next day. So, you know, this is awesome. I love this book study. Thank you for allowing me to share. It's my first time sharing. Wow. Thank you.
Navon?
Good morning, everyone. Navon, and I'm an addict. This is interesting. That paragraph that we just read, I'm pretty much like you guys until I put one in. Then when I put it in, I become something other than, it's almost like subhuman. It talks about being a distinct entity. I looked up the word entity, and it says an article or being a creature. What? A substance, subhuman. I remember when I first got sober, my sponsor used to talk about it. He said, you know what, Navon? A roach got more sense than you. I'm like, how dare you? Roach ain't smarter than me. He says, yeah, think about it. Those of you who've had roaches, I know y'all know what I'm talking about. However, you cut the light on, you go in that kitchen and wherever those roaches are residing, you turn the light on, those roaches are running for cover because they know when the lights come on, that's danger. You're going to come in there swatting and stepping and all that old stuff. Not so with me. I gladly go to the source of danger. Let me need one. Off I go. That is the most distinguishing characteristic of this disease that I know. Once I put it in, I become an entity. Think about that. Thank you, guys.
No more hands after Chris S. Candy?
Hey everybody, I'm Candy. I'm an alcoholic. And on my last drunk, I had no intention of drinking. I had a whole plan on how, my significant other said he wanted to go out for drinks. And I didn't want to drink. I had a whole plan how we was going to go to this new place called Starbucks. and have coffee and people watch. And I went into work with that whole plan. And by noontime, that plan was out the window, and I started planning for how I was going to drink, who I was going to drink with that evening, and I drank and drugged that night, and I hadn't drugged in 10 years. Thanks for letting me share.
Chris?
Look, ain't never too early. I'm Chris, I'm an alcoholic, and this is something when I was 8 years old. I only remember because it was New Year's Eve, 1962. My oldest brother's 10 years older than me. They had a New Year's Eve party, and they had a record player up, and they were dancing. He was 18, right? So they were seniors in high school, and you had all they were bringing booze in, okay, and they had these little coffee tables, little tables set by the chairs around the room, and then they were all up dancing. And while they were dancing, I got curious, and I went around sipping the drinks, and I was drinking all the drinks. And I was drinking the bourbon and Coke, the bourbon on I learned stuff I didn't like, the vodka stuff. Some of that stuff tasted like, but all I know is I drank all I could drink. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't remember anything else when I was 8 years old, but I remember that day. And they locked me up in the back in my bedroom with a TV and some potato chips. And I was watching the Twilight Zone, and the world was spinning while I was laying on the bed. And that was my first encounter really with alcohol. Didn't know what was going on. But I think looking back, I know that the phenomenon of craving kicked in for me. And every time since then that I had the opportunity, I drank all I could until I was stopped by something. Now, it wasn't until AA in 1981 where it was described for me right here in this book. And I knew there was going to be something drastic. It had to be. And they said the only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. Oh, man. Anyway, thank you.
I saw you, Bernard. Come on and get in here. Okay, we lost Bernard.
There I am. Sorry. Am I good?
Yes.
First off, I was introduced to you guys, the White Brothers, about 12 years ago. Huge fans. Thank you for everything. I recently relapsed after 8.5 years of sobriety. And when I did take that, obviously the pre-lapse preceded my relapse. But once I did relapse, I simply believed the lie that I did not have a problem. And that I just had a bad habit. And I got sober young. And once I took that drink, I wasn't behind a dumpster. I didn't have a needle in my arm or anything like that. And for the 2 years of my relapse, before I entered treatment not too long ago, it took some time for me to believe that I did suffer from this disease. Because for me, what was revealed to me was that the allergy had been acquired over time. And it took some time for me for it to become something greater than me. And this abnormal reaction that I have didn't just immediately happen. It happened over an acquired period of time. And I have to remember that. And I can't believe the lie. That's what the disease wants me to believe. Thank you.
All right. Is Christina, was she ever able to unmute?
Hi, Christina, alcoholic.
Okay, come on.
Hi, sorry, some laptop problems, some Christina problems. I think the allergy concept is really starting to sink in from here to here. Like, you know, I'm fully accepting it. It took me a long time to actually even believe in it, but it's very true. You know, my lack of belief is my own issues with resistance. Because I get cravings about other things. You know, I want to go into addictive sort of behaviors, but I can kind of stop myself in those and from going there and see what they are. But with alcohol, there is no stopping. There is no stopping. I can pace myself. I could pace myself. I thought, at least, and that gave me the illusion that, you know, I was managing things and things were okay, even though I knew I was an alcoholic. But I can't. I know I'm powerless. And yeah, I've got the allergy, and definitely, I mean, you know, abstinence is not under any kind of debate with me. There is never going to be any more drinking for me if I'm, you know, keep being here with you guys. So thanks.
So, and Dolly wants to slip in. Dolly's going to absolutely be the last person on this paragraph. Come on, Dolly.
Thanks, Ralph. Bernard gave me this incentive, kind of pushed me when he spoke. I had a hard time figuring this thing all out, this phenomenon of craving. You know, was I an alcoholic when I took my first drink? Or did I drink myself into alcoholism? Well, I think either one could be. You know, to me, it doesn't matter anymore. I know something when I really got honest with myself. And I looked at myself, and that was at the very end of my whole life. I could tell you one thing for sure. Once I took a drink or a drug, I don't stop. I always end up in a detox or a treatment facility or locked up to separate me from the substance. That doesn't mean I go. Sometimes I go on a spree for a year. Sometimes I take a drink and I go on a spree. One time I was out there 10 years. And then at the very end, every 2 months, the fact remains that I had to get honest with myself. Once I picked up a drink or a drug, I totally lost control of it, period. Does it mean I drank every day like a fish or was a fiend on drugs? I've been all of that. Not necessarily, but I could never separate myself from it. I could never. I have to be forced into it. And to me, that means that something is going on inside of me. And I do believe in the phenomenon of craving. That will explain things for me that I could never otherwise explain. But it's not that I have a problem doing a drug or having a drink. My problem is I can't stop. There it is. And that's it. Thank you, Ralph.
So we spent a little time, the doctor did, in classifying, the way he called it, classifying alcoholics. Somebody say, I'm quitting forever. Somebody is, you know, always remorseful. Some people, you know, say, okay, I'm going to just change who I get loaded with. I'm going to change where I do it. Some people are criers and, you know, are, you know, late night phone callers, and some people it really depressed, some people party, some people isolate. Okay, and some people seem to be okay in every other respect except when it comes to this thing, this drinking and using. But we're gonna put all that to the side, Mr. White. We're gonna put all that to the side. Let's really talk to some of our new friends too. We're gonna put all that stuff to the side. We can look different in terms of your behavior once you start. But here's one thing that all 481 of us have in common. Here's one thing. When we start, we can't start without developing the phenomena of craving. Bernard talked about it, seemed like it was already done. We're not even getting into, as we go, deeper into this deal, we'll talk about how this disease is progressive. So for some people, they have the phenomena of craving from their very first drink. For other people, it turned up sometime later. But for all of us here, we don't need to try to pinpoint on our timeline. What we know is at some point it happened. Don't worry about the time. Some looking back, people can say, some people say from the beginning, some people say that's not where we are in this. Where we are in this is foundational. This is the foundation building block of everything we do from here on. And what it is there's something bodily different. There is nothing in the 12 steps that address the body difference. There is nothing in our program that addresses the body difference. We have nothing. If you're here and you think you come into a place that's going to show you how you can now be unalcoholic, that ain't going to happen. That ain't happening. I'm 37 plus years old. I'm an alcoholic still. What? Yeah. Once you've become a pickle, we don't have a program to return you to cucumber. So the doctor says, Ralph, this is the first suggestion I'm going to give you, and that's entire abstinence. We don't have a step one. Johnny said it's like step two. Our step one is admitted I'm powerless about, and some people think that implies this. No, it just says I admitted I was powerless. I did that when I was drinking. I gotta bring, and sponsors, people you working with and the rest, you can't put it in them. You can't talk it into them. You get mad at them. Don't you see? Don't you know better? I gotta bring the abstinence. I have to bring how does that, we ain't gonna get into how that happens, what collapse and surrender and all that is. What I need to know from this paragraph is something bodily different. One person was sharing about, he didn't intend to, ended up, we're not talking about now the obsession and the mental part. We're talking about what happens when I take one. Not what makes me take one. What happens when I take one? Well, we found that it's probably like 1 in 7 people or 10% of the Earth's population, whatever it is. I am in that number of people that have this body feature, this different. And it sets me apart as a distinct entity, a distinct group. That group, we call them alcoholics, we call them addicts. Those people are physically different than the rest of the population. The rest of the population, many people drank as hard as me. I knew some guys drank harder. They didn't have the body difference. They would drink hard and they go home and they show up at work Monday. I'm on a run. I'm gone. I'm that guy. Here's the other interesting feature about the phenomena of craving. I used to say it, and I used to think, and it especially is a trapdoor. Ronald Gibson was talking about that. It's a trapdoor for people who use other than just alcohol too, which was me. And so I would use other than just alcohol. And so I would be smoking. And it had a feature that allowed me to go 5, 6, 7 days. Alcohol, I'll pass out. So I would tend to think that the phenomena of craving means when I take one, I can't stop. That's not what it means. What the phenomena of craving says is when I take one, and we'll explore this later on more, I can't control the amount. Oh, that's the reason why sometimes I'm at lunch, and at lunch I have time to take 1 or 2. Well, I done took one, so now I'm and I rush back late I stopped, but I can't control. I didn't intend to get back late. Oh, I didn't intend to be, that's why sometimes you be creeping when you come home. I intended to just go pick up something from the store. Now I done put one in me because I stopped at Ryan's house because I got enough time for that. I put one in me Me and Ryan, now we take a couple of hits, we smoke, and I look up and say, damn, it's me. I stopped, but I didn't intend to be at Ryan's 4 hours. So it doesn't mean when I put one in me, I can't stop. It means I lose control of the amount. That is the phenomenon of craving. So when I look back in my experience, I look at when I take one, do I now no longer have control over when I'm gonna stop? For most of us, many of us like me, what controls when I stop is running out externals, running out of money, picked up by the police, something like that. But often I look up at my watch and, oh shit, what happened? I'm 4 hours in and was supposed to be an hour. So that is the thing, you guys. And so I turn it into a question. If I've ever experienced the phenomenon, of craving, then I'm probably alcoholic. Wow, answers that question. If I said I'm gonna spend 20 and I spend more, all my check, damn, once or twice, all the time. Say I'm gonna stop off for an hour. I'm here 8 hours, 4 hours, I come back, left the baby with my mom and come back the next. Wow. Did I spend more than I intended to spend? Did I stay longer than I intended to stay? Did I do things I didn't? So that's a manifestation of it. Manifestation. The way that allergy shows up, we call this an allergy, and the way it shows up is in what we call this phenomenon. Can't see it, touch it, or feel, but we know what happens. We experience it. This phenomenon of craving is how the allergy to alcohol shows up. So that's an interesting concept, because our allergy, shouldn't it show up as rash? But not in this case. It shows up as this thirst. It makes me thirsty when I drink. And it only happens in this group of people. My mama don't have it. My mama drinks, she don't have a phenomenon of craving. Really? Yeah, really. You might have met some people who, when they drink, they could put the cap back on. I didn't even know bottles came with caps till I came out. You know what I'm saying? So, and here's the big takeaway, especially new friends, here's the big takeaway. Entire abstinence. What? No weed? No weed. Really? Really? And some of y'all like Ronald Gibbs, no drink, no drink. None of our 12-step program, no. We don't have a different sobriety day for weed and then alcohol and then blow and then meth. No. Entire abstinence. Rita?
This immediately precipitates us into a seething cauldron of debate. Much has been written pro and con, but among physicians, the general opinion seems to be that most chronic alcoholics are doomed.
Shit. I love this paragraph. Well, while this paragraph is very short, it is very impactful in what it says, which is this. Once we came up with this theory that it had to be total abstinence, we all started talking about, but are you sure if they can't stay away from it for 2 years, if we just do this, that, and when they got down to it, they said, well, if total abstinence is the only relief, they're screwed, right? He said they're doomed. Why? Why would that be their conclusion? Because in their working with these alcoholics over all these years, they can't stay away from it entirely, forever. My experience is they can't do it. That's why the opinion is they're doomed.
Rick?
Good morning. I'm Rick. I'm an alcoholic. I live on the island of Kauai, and in the middle of the island, we have a geological formation, and it's called Sleeping Giant. And it's a formation of a man's head, his body, and his feet sticking up. And when I drive by that, I look at that as my alcoholism. The mythology was that we're the only island King Kamehameha couldn't conquer because when he came to conquer Kauai, the Hawaiians lit fires around this image, and it scared the guys in the boat. And they turned around and went back to the water. It's kind of an historical hero point for the locals here. And it reminds me that if I take one drink, I can't stop. I've got that gene. I've got that problem that I just shoot. The switch gets turned on, and I just have to have. There's one guarantee: if I take one drink, the guarantee is I'm going to take another one, and then another one. So thank you. Nice to see everybody this morning. Aloha.
I just looked at you to let that analogy that you just threw at us sink into me, Rick. It went right over my head. Try the next one. Pamela.
Good morning, never too early. I'm Pamela, and I'm an alcoholic. Actually, I'm an alcoholic that smokes a whole lot of crack. I love this part of the book because I was having an argument with somebody I was trying to fix, manage, and control. And he was telling me, staying clean must come first. And I was like, my book don't say that. And he said, well, because he's a book person. He said, let me go get my book. And he read this part, the entire abstinence. But see, for me as a chronic alcoholic, I'm doomed. I got girls, there was 3 of us who used to get down together. We used to call ourselves the unholy trinity because we all modeled, we all flew around. And one got sober in church. She in church, it works for her. The other one is in another fellowship. She celebrated 28 years, which I would have had. Me, I'm a chronic alcoholic. See, I came in here, alcohol wasn't no drug. Because if it was a drug, it would have been called drug. It wouldn't have been called alcohol. That's an adult beverage. Miss me with that. So I got, 9 years and I drank. Then I got a couple years and I drank. This last time I got 6 years and I drank. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe there is something to that alcohol thing. Because I'm an alcoholic. I thought I came in like I love what Ronald shared. I thought I would just smoke too much crack. And if I just left that crack alone, I'd be all right. No, I have to leave it all alone. Entire abstinence. And I'm doomed unless, like Bishop says, I get a whole different way of looking at stuff. I get that psychic change. So that's my story. Thank you for letting me share. Good to see everyone.
No more hands after Gary. We got a lot of hands. No more hands after Gary. So you guys got a lot of hands. Be mindful of that in your sharing. Dion?
Mm-hmm. Hey, family. How you doing? This is Dion R. Very grateful, recovered, alcoholic from a seeming hopeless state of mind, as well as compulsive overeat. I just had to say that because he's giving another sense of being doomed. If I'm not working at 12 steps, then tomorrow, praise God, if I don't make it, tomorrow we'll have 35 years of sobriety. But to get this with myself, and I praise God and all you people for that, right? But just for the day, it just reminds me of how if I'm not in the steps, I'm still doomed. I'm doomed. I'm not only drunk or drunk, I'm doomed. My drug of choice became sugar. And his doom is being at a 24-hour bakery, waiting for them to finish baking something to give me that. My friend I called, she was like, what do you think you're waiting? It's 24 hours, what you waiting for them? That's how with sugar. One, you never know. And then it will go on to something else or something else. So for me, and I didn't get undoomed, but I was doomed, and I know it. And I get other people don't get it, that's okay. Just for today, I'm safe knowing that I'm doomed if I pick just one. And with that, I'll pass. Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate it.
Denise?
Hi, family. Denise, alcoholic. Ralph, in 1984, I had alcohol poisoning. I'm in the ambulance. I couldn't walk. I had a fever. I couldn't see. I get to the hospital. They do spinal tap after spinal tap. I had IVs all in my neck because of the damage I did with the syringe. They couldn't find a vein. Almost dead. The doctor comes in the room. He says, Miss Bell, you have to stop getting high. You're dying here. You was almost dead. We had to do this, this, and this to keep you. And all I could think about in my feeble mind, I look up at the doctor. I said, can you please be specific on what I need to stop getting high on? I couldn't imagine I couldn't imagine not doing something. Shooting dope, drinking, whatever. I couldn't imagine. You know, talk about alcohol, are doomed. And what did I do? Once they released me, I went right back out doing the same thing. Thank you for letting me share.
Annette?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hey, hi everyone. Annette, addict, alcoholic. This just reminds me of when I first made it here. I was put into a program called Prop 36, and I had a plan because I was one of these people that qualified to go 5 days a week. And so I thought I could just be a weekend warrior. I just have to sit up straight and fly right during the week. And Friday, you know, I could get high on Friday, stop by Saturday, drink, you know, I could still drink alcohol on Saturday. Sunday, I got to stop completely and just, you know, sit up straight and fly right during the week. What I didn't understand is the phenomenon of craving. So Saturday morning come around, I couldn't stop getting high. So I started drinking bleach. Someone told me if I drink bleach, an ounce of bleach, put it in milk, swallow that down, that I'll be testing clean. So suddenly here I am. I never stopped. I'm drinking bleach every day until they take me in to test and they smell the bleach in my urine and they send it in. And it's like always revealed. I didn't understand that I didn't have a choice once I put it in me. I thought I could get high on Friday. I thought I could stop on Saturday. And when I couldn't, it amazes me when I think back at what I used to do to my body. I could not stop, didn't understand it at the time. That's all I got.
Wow, thank you, Doug.
Yeah, I'm an alcoholic. My name is Doug. I'm grateful for my desire to stay sober. Wow, this little paragraph just says so much to me that I can identify with. You know, after being in AA for a while, somebody would say, "Did you hear who drank it?" No, he didn't. No, he couldn't have done that. How did he do that? He's been sober 20 years. Why did he do that? And nobody had an idea why he did that, but they didn't stop to think that, well, he's an alcoholic. That's what we do. But what happened there, and it says doomed. I had this doctor, every time I go to see the guy, he'd say, "How much you had to drink since I saw you the last time?" I said, "Jesus, Doc, I'm sober 37 years. He says, "So does that mean you're not going to drink again?" He had me. He had me. I said, I guess not. So I am doomed. It took me that to realize I'm doomed. I'm a drink away from a drunk no matter how long I'm here. Thank you.
And I see, Bill, you jumped in after we said no more hands. So I'm going to assume you're going to really have something. And it's going to be. So, Gary, and I'm going to let you jump in here too, Bill. In and out. Come on, Gary.
No pressure, right? My name is Gary, and I'm an alcoholic. Man, I like that everyone shared is but staying with the program, I looked up the word doom, death, destruction, or some other terrible fate. Step one does not bring hope for me. It does not. It terrifies the fuck out of me. Excuse my French, but it really, really scares me. It means that I'm never going to be able to pull it off. And you said it, and it's such a light little saying, once a pickle, always a pickle, right? You never can go back to. But the truth of the matter is I am done. I am never going to be able to stop or stay stopped. You know what I'm saying? And I like that you pointed out, because you know I need direction. I need guidance. And sometimes I get off on these tangents and I'll get recovered on your ass. And all of a sudden I'm walking on water. Okay, yes, Ronald, I see that. But the fact of the matter is it's done. And I'm not gonna jump ahead, but I'm reminded of another thing, is the smashed. And that's not it. This means that it's although the phenomenon of craving, you said, it's not just focused on I can't stop, But the amount, and I heard someone else share too, the only time that I drew a sober breath is if I was in jail, treatment, or sleep. Them were the only times. And sometimes it started with alcohol, weed, but I done. That's doomed is done or death, right? 6 feet under. Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, he's putting some exclamation points on it. Bill?
Thank you, Ralph. I just wanted to say something. There's 2 sentences in this paragraph, and we're all elaborating on the second sentence. But I believe that the first one is equally as important. I know that AA is here today. I know that in the 50s that the AMA said it's an illness, so it was okay with the doctors to talk about, but this guy's telling us right here in this sentence that he's putting his neck on the line. Because when he tells us we have this, it's going to precipitate a whole lot of problems with his colleagues. He's going to step into some shit and it's not going to be pleasant. I take for granted that AA is in place. I take for granted that people know what I have and understand this craving. But we're going back in a time when this guy's saying, guess what? We can't explain it. We can't treat it. But I'm going to stick my neck out on a limb and tell you here's the problem. And some of his colleagues are going to say, nope, they're just weak-willed. Stop babying and pant you. That's why I wanted to jump in there. I couldn't restrain myself.
Thank you, sir. No. You are in that paragraph. That's how we do it when I let you in under the gun, all of y'all. Stay in that paragraph. Thank you, sir. T.
Thank you for not letting me go after Zena. She be, you know what I'm saying? She's alcoholic. I'll be like, never mind. No, she's alcoholic. Whatever. Okay. Oh, Lordy, have mercy on me. Giving me anxiety and heart palpitations, and that it still applies. I mean, I still think about Sesame Street phenomena. So I have this strange thing that happens to my body that I can't determine how long or how much. And basically, this doctor is telling these other doctors, look, we can go back and forth on this shit about the good things and the bad things or what they can and cannot do. But one thing is made clear, regardless of what type I am, regardless of where I fit in the previous paragraphs, if I drink, if I take a drink, basically this is the bottom line the doctor's getting to. All I know with all that I have seen, all that I have done, all that I have observed, and maybe you doctors can agree with me, that the moment this chronic alcoholic takes a drink, even the doctors are doomed. The family is doomed. The alcoholic is doomed. Everybody is doomed because the phenomenon of craving cannot be monitored, controlled, managed. You frothy appeal never fucking suffices. Like nothing happens to this person. And I know people get caught up with the allergy. I found the allergy very clear. Allergy is not the symptoms of an allergy. It is the abnormality. It is the effects of the I'm abnormal. I think the doctor's trying to hammer into me. You're abnormal, Teresa. Not everybody who drinks alcohol, this happens to them. What happens to you that's abnormal from the population of our society is that you cannot determine how much or how long. And for those reasons, you are doomed. Why wouldn't I be doomed? I'm doomed to death, to be destroyed, because there's nothing I can do about it when it happens. It reminds me real quick of my brother had this thing called, and they didn't know what it was at the time. All I know was like a Pac-Man in his body, and it was eating up all of his cells, all of his blood cells. And it was, later they call it hemolytic anemia. And it was killing him. And there was nothing they could do to catch it. They told me it was like a locomotive. It was a locomotive that we don't even know where it is in the body. We can't even give it any type of medication because we can't even catch this shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was just killing him. It's like, and until they can slow it down or get it to stop was the only way it can be treated. Very similar. And so abstinence becomes important because unless I am abstinent, you can't help me. You can't help what happens to me. No matter how much I swear forever, no matter how much I say I'm only going to have one more, I swear this is it. How many times I say one more, and I'm leaving, right? Or I don't know. Whoa, that still gives me heart palpitations. So abstinence is so important here because if not, nobody can help me, including me. I am doomed. And that means of any form. I don't do with medicine. But that's a whole nother discussion. I don't do cook with it. Because when it goes in my body, I am doomed, and everybody else around me, because I cannot determine how much or how long. And we don't have enough time, which sometimes I hate that I have to rush to give all the examples of how this is true. And I'm glad that I had a moment of clarity and a well-whipped ass for my ears to open up to digest that so that I could be clear that we must keep the plug in the jug, because the moment we don't, scary. It's a scary situation. I might not even end up dead. That would be a luxury. Thank you.
I'm going to sit and let what Teresa said just sit in, because it is, putting a fine point to what we just read. And for those who are in our treatment facilities and those who are new and are coming back, we ain't even, it ain't nothing to be done if I don't not put that first one in me. That entire abstinence is our building block. Zena?
Oh, I absolutely wanted to go before Teresa. Jesus, my name is Zena. I'm an alcoholic. This feels so unfair. But anyway, I get to this place in the book very early in my recovery, and I'm still in a curiosity phase. I don't believe it's gonna work anyway. I was done every time I stopped up to at this point. So I'm still not fully bought in or sold on the idea that anything gonna work anyway. I'm in a curiosity phase, and at this point, I'm willing to read this book so that if nothing else, I can prove to you that even what you're talking about isn't gonna work for me, because that's what I walk in the door convinced of anyway. And then it's that whole I'm willing to believe that you believe, and the no treatment for permanent eradication. I already know that part. I done tried to stop before, it didn't work. I tried again, it didn't work. I tried a different way, it didn't work. So this wasn't anything I had to be convinced of at this point. But it didn't matter anyway, because I'm still in the curiosity phase, early in my recovery. I'm only reading the book because everybody else reading the book, and they tell me I gotta read the book. I'm just trying to find relief. And so in the paragraph we're in, that's what makes it so significant, except for the fact that I get to this paragraph, and my sponsor reveals to me that even the doctors are arguing. And it's like, well, shit, the hospital, the medical facility, that's the place I go for relief in every other situation. But even the damn doctors can't agree. And when they finish arguing, their argument is over. When they stop arguing, their conclusion is that I'm fucking doomed. It's like, well, shit. So I come in with my non-belief and all my curiosity, willing to believe, because you say, and the best you could get me before you tell me anything else is that the expert community's opinion to me is that my health is doomed. That's fucked up, because my only other option is to smoke, which even smoking is not working. And so I'm grateful. I'm gonna stay calm because I don't want to go ahead. I'm grateful that I keyed in on the word relief. I wasn't even trying for absolute abstinence. I was just trying to get some relief from what I have been suffering from. And so if reading the sentences will give me some relief until I pick up again, I'll buy into it. Thank God the rest of the book happens, but that's what held me beyond this page. So I just wanted to share that for our new friends, because you know I never worry about the newcomer. I'm only here for me. But this one, for our new friends, lean into the relief. Thank you so much for letting me share.
So the doctor says, okay, Ralph, when you take one, you can't control when, how much, or how long. Okay. You know what, Doc? Looking at my life and my experience, you might have a point there. I used to not give that no credence because I didn't think I wanted to control how much. But, so I don't look at the times that I just set out to get tore up. Look at the times when you did say, I'll be right back. Oops. Look at the times when you did tell your mama, I'll be over to pick them up at. Look at the times when your baby was at preschool or the last one at the school, and you intended to pick them up on time because they keep telling you, we ain't going to keep staying here late for you. But you stopped off over at Doug's house because it's 3 o'clock and you just got to be at daycare by 5 o'clock, right? So I got a couple hours. But now it's 6 o'clock because I took one at 3 o'clock. So it don't necessarily mean I can't stop, but I can't control it. Did that happen to you, Ralph? It happened to me many times. Rushing up in there to get Rain or River, last one there. I'm, no, not Rain or River. River never experienced that. Rain, yes. Rain in preschool, yes. Rushing up in there, last minute, last one. So anyway, going back to it. So if that happened to you, the only relief for somebody like you, because you're physically different than other people, entire abstinence. I was like a lot of you guys when I went in the care unit first time. Entire abstinence? You mean no weed either? No drink? Yeah, entire abstinence, dude. Okay. Then the doctors got to argue. When Silkworth says that, are you really serious, Silkworth? That's what you got? You do know who you're talking about. You do know you're talking about these 400 and something people in here that's been in and out, and you saying the relief for them is entire. Their asses ain't never been able to do. They do them. And that's what that paragraph is saying. Thank you, Bill, for pointing. The doctors got to arguing. And for all our friends who are new, thank you, Gary. When we're in step one, we really ain't trying to give you a whole lot of hope. Why they doing this to us right now? This ain't the hopeful place. We ain't the happy clappy people about step one. One of the things you guys got to get used to that's coming with us for the first time, they want to hurry up and say, and I'm so grateful for it because I'm grateful I'm here. We ain't trying to be grateful right now. We trying to, for those of you sitting up in any of our treatment facilities on here, we trying to snuff out the last flicker of hope. The party's over. Party's over. What? You mean I ain't? Yeah. Your drinking ain't gonna. It ain't happening, dude. I can't smoke a J. No. We know that ain't good news right now either. We know that ain't good news. Yeah. If you keep doing what you're doing, what did it just say? Most chronic alcoholics are doomed. That is the sound of the door closing on that life. Reader?
What is the solution? Perhaps I can best answer this by relating one of my experiences.
So the doctor is coming off of the seething cauldron of debate. They asses are doomed. Damn. Now the doctor says, so what's the solution? Read, reader. I don't even know what y'all got hands up for. That's a bridge paragraph. Put them down.
About 1 year prior to this experience, a man was brought into the to be treated for chronic alcoholism. He had but partially recovered from a gastric hemorrhage and seemed to be a case of pathological mental deterioration. He had lost everything worthwhile in life and was only living, one might say, to drink. He frankly, excuse me, 1 second.
You're muted, dude.
Okay, sorry. He frankly admitted and believed that for him there was no hope. Following the elimination of alcohol, there was found to be no permanent brain damage or brain injury, excuse me. He accepted the plan outlined in this book. 1 year later, he called to see me, and I experienced a very strange sensation. I knew the man by name and partly recognized his features, but there all resemblance ended. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel that I had known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and so he left me. A long time has passed, but no return to alcohol.
Okay, Mary Margaret. You're muted. Mary Margaret, we'll come back. We'll come back to you. Al?
I'm an alcoholic, here for the paragraph that was just read about 1 year prior. So there's 4 little pit stops along this paragraph. I've heard it might be Hank Parkhurst's story, but I heard it from an alcoholic, so how much credence can I give that? So it says there's 4 little pit stops along the way here, and they're going to be repeated at the bottom of the page into the next page. The pit stops, oh yes, you want to hear about them? Here they are. Hot mess. Partially recovered gastric hemorrhage. I was doing a lot of pacing in a very lovely apartment, feeling I was losing my mind. And I was. I told my employers I was having a nervous breakdown. It's important that I make it personal to me, I heard in this meeting, so I just did. You know, I was having a friggin' nervous breakdown. They said, yeah, we know. I seem to be a case of pathological, no pun intended, mental, deterioration. Yeah, I was fried. I was fricasseed. I was losing it. What was I losing? My mind. That's phase 1, hopeless. And I was only living to drink, party, but the stuff wasn't working anymore. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I couldn't get a buzz for all the trying, and I had a combination going. It was a nice mixture of drugs and alcohol. The second phase, detox. Yeah, I dried out in the rooms. I was dripping wet, going to meeting after meeting, just trying to get sober. And I was lucky because I was too cheap to go to a program. Accepted the plan outlined. I went back on day 2. It was Christmas Day, actually. I said, would you sponsor me? I accepted the plan because I heard the cacophony of voices in my head and said, that ain't right. That's that committee KF radio you people have been talking about. And the 4th phase would be the result. So in recapping, I was a hot mess, hopeless, detox, dry out, 3 steps, accept the plan outlined in the book, and the 4th would be the result. There's no A, B, and C to 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's either I'm a mess. Well, forget it. I'm not going to lecture. Who am I? I'm just another alcoholic. As a layman, my opinion means little. Thanks for letting me swear.
Tally?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Tally, and I'm an alcoholic. Wow, so this paragraph is very powerful to me. My understanding too that this is Hank Parkhurst, and if this is Hank P, he's the one that pushed to write the book, to publish the book. Let's do it as a business, blah blah blah. We're all going to be dependent on it, and we do know from this description towards the end of this paragraph, it goes, to me, this was a stranger. And so he left me a long time passed with no return to alcohol. We do know that he did return to alcohol. And if he returned to alcohol, he's one of the writers of the book. He was like hand in hand together with Bill Wilson. Who am I to know that to not work it every single day the way I did on day one when I was so desperate to get this? Because anytime I'm going to take my hand off the wheel, there is danger. He made a beginning like Jim that drank some milk and whiskey. You know, he took his eyes off what was to do it. He gets me so emotional. You know, to me, he was a stranger, meaning the profound spiritual experience that he had undergone, that Dr. Silkworth couldn't even recognize him. And we see those miracles all the time. We see them all the time, that they don't even look like the ones. I don't look, well, some time passes, so we don't look exactly the same 35, 34 years later. But anyways, it's so powerful to me. Thank you so much. Amazing.
Did we get Mary Margaret back? No? All right, so we got a couple of minutes. I don't know if you guys gonna leave me a minute. So come on, Giselle, you and David, it may leave me a minute.
Thank you, Ralph. I'm an alcoholic. My name is Giselle. I'll never forget, I had moved to Vegas July of 2021 from South Florida. And I went back and I had, I think, almost 2 years of sobriety. I went back to South Florida for a visit. And I went to see my psychiatrist, who was a friend and my doctor for at least 25 years. And he went through my 8-year relapse after 20 years of sobriety with me. I walked into his office to say hello, and he looked at me, and he had bewildered eyes. He didn't recognize me. I was a stranger to him. That's all I got.
Dave, where'd you go?
David, alcoholic. I just wanted to say that doom for me was if I took one drink, my day was over, period. And then in the next paragraph, he said, accepted the plan outlined in this book. Well, I ain't even got to the plan. I'm still doomed, you know, and I got to remember, he said accepted the plan. I'm in the first part of the book. I ain't even seen the fucking plan. So I'm still the guy that takes one drink in the morning and my whole day is over. Day after day after day after day after day. Thanks, bro.
So in this paragraph, and it's interesting, and what jumps out at me is this. So the doctor says on the previous page, he got into it with his colleagues, and what came out of that seething cauldron of debate, what came out of them going back and forth was this thing. Chronic alcoholics are doomed. If the only plan is don't take one, y'all doomed. You're done. So the doctor says, that being the case, since I'm writing a book of, you know, supposedly that's going to be helpful to y'all, what's the solution? And here's the thing to take away from that. The solution to what we have don't come from Dr. Silkworth. What we got from Dr. Silkworth was a description of what physically ails me. He also gives an overview based on his observations of what it is that I need. He says, I can't give it to you, Ralph. And then he says, what's the solution? So Silkworth says this. He doesn't pretend to have the program for folk like us. What he has is a story. He relates a story that illustrates what the solution can be. He doesn't tell us what it is because he doesn't have it. So that's the interesting part about silk work, relating a story of, in quotes, success. Since he's writing in this book, he says he saw a guy, Hank Parkhurst, and he described how Hank was toe up when he saw him. Came to him, toe up. Then he said some things that happened, as Al pointed out, that he admitted that he was hopeless. So the doctor said, I see some things that he did. He admitted he was hopeless. He frankly did that the elimination of alcohol, that once he got it out of him, thank God he wasn't a wet brain. They have this plan. I don't know the plan, the doctor ain't saying, but he accepted this plan that y'all gonna read about later. He accepted the plan, and then doctor don't even go into what the plan is, none of that. He just gave us an overview. Dude accepted it. I saw him a little bit later. I didn't recognize him. I'm here to tell y'all that is something that took place that later on, outside of my scope, and the doctor said he looked like, from the doctor's perspective, a man brimming with self-reliance and contentment. That's from the doctor's point of view. We know it ain't self-reliant, but that's what it looks like. When moms see you, when your employers see you, when your friends see you, when some people see you who ain't seen you in a minute, new friends, it'll look like you have self-reliance and self-confidence. Firsthand I see of a lady for next week to read. Janae, did you put your hand up to read next week? Yours was up first. You'll read next week. Get here a little early. Let Ryan